Bee had set up a howl if I laid in that mud under the tractor in the rain. Bee was making peach pies again, just like the day Paps died, for the Holy Mercy Church of Abiding Faith's potluck dinner for the poor. Even though we're poor, there's always those that are worse off in Hollis, the town nearby, she says. I glanced back at her as she pressed her thumb along the edge of the pie, making perfect half-moons in the dough. There were kettles on the stove bubbling with wonderful-smelling spices, and gingerbread in the oven. And then, that's when it all began. A flicker of a shadow, a wisp of something outside. But I hadn't even turned my head from Bee. Had I? You know when someone is staring at you from behind and you just know it? Bee and I locked eyes for a moment, and she tilted her head, like Bump does sometimes, as though asking, "What? What, Esme?" Since Paps died, I'd felt those steely eyes of hers watching me as though I was a pot waiting to boil. I turned to the screen, but nothing was there. Just the endless tsp, tsp, tsp of the rain as it splattered on the screen door. June rain? Had it been her? No, she'd been on the front porch a few minutes ago when I'd run in from collecting eggs. She'd been sitting in a rocker, like she always does, cutting out photos of movie stars from magazines and putting them in the thick scrapbook she's had forever. Some days when she's up to it, she helps out at my Aunt Sweet Ma's Just Teasin' beauty parlor. But she doesn't leave our house much anymore. Since my daddy Harlan left for good, June Rain's been in a bad spell as long as a Texas drought. She hadn't even looked up at me when I'd walked past her with my shirt billowed out like a sail, cradling several dozen eggs. Suddenly my toes started to tingle. You know that numbly feeling you get when you've sat cross-legged too long watching Saturday cartoons or listening to your teacher drone on and on during story time? I didn't like it one bit. I started lifting my feet up and down in sort of a march to see if I could make it go away. Bee looked over at me as she put another pie in the oven. "What in the good damnation are you doing?" "I have a Charlie horse in my feet," I answered her. That's what it felt like, a little bit. "In both of them?" She frowned, and then a soft look of worry crossed her face. "I don't want you going outside today," she said, "especially not up there." Despite my best efforts, my feet continued to hum and tingle. Bridge Over Troubled Water was playing on the radio from somewhere in the house, the gentle melody rising and falling with the tingles in my toes. Suddenly, old Jack, Paps's dog, jumped up on the other side of the screen door. Then another jump, and another, whining to get a good whiff of all the smells, sweet peaches and sugared gingerbread and doughy flour and melted butter. And Bee clapped her hands at him. Had it been the shadow of old Jack I'd seen a few moments before? The shadow that had started my toes burning? And then behind old Jack, a flitting blur, a streak in the rain. I watched as it moved toward Solace Hill, the bee buzz in my feet rising up my legs before disappearing. I let old Jack in, then pressed my nose against the screen. "Shh," I whispered down to him, petting his head. He licked at the screen, strangely trying to get right back out. "Esme Macaulay, you know he's not there," Bee said, her voice startling me. I turned to her. "You let go of that hill, honey," she said in a soft-as-cotton way, so unlike her. She put the peach pie in the oven and gave the oven a horse kick, for it was always on the fritz, like most things around here. Then she braced her arms on the stove and stood still as a statue. I leaned forward, wondering what she was going to say. "Why?" she whispered. "Why?" Was she talking about my no-good daddy Harlan? I had an image of him, the day before he disappeared, sticking his whole hand in one of Bee's peach pies and just grabbing a big ol' handful. Bee had swatted him away and told him to go fix the back pasture fence, 'cause Miss Lila's geese were getting in and eating all our peaches. And then he was gone.